So during the pandemic, I had 10 jobs. I can recall the pandemic as if it were yesterday. It was March 2020. The university I worked at directed all employees to work from home, and that started the start of my multiple jobs. I was a principal, a teacher, a counselor therapist, after-school teacher, IT support, cafeteria worker, hall monitor, full-time doctoral student, and full-time employee as a college administrator. You see, most of my jobs came from my work as a pandemic parent, working full-time, going to school full-time, with 3 boys, ages 5, 7, and 8, all in distance learning. A day in the life would look something like this. Create tasks of the day on the whiteboard. Usher students to their workstation. Get back to my workstation. Help with IT support. Usher students out for recess 1 and 2. Serve snacks evenly distributed for recess 1 and 2. Usher students back to their workstation. Get back to my workstation. Prepare for lunch. Serve lunch. Usher students back to their workstations. Log into my workstation. Monitor the hallway because there was always that one kindergartner who would often frequently visit the restroom because he was tired of staring at the computer screen for hours at a time. I would later come to find that he not only used this time to go to the restroom and take a break, but to indulge in his supplemental snacks from recess 1 and 2 that he snuck in his pocket. You see, I could not wait to go back to the way things were. Pandemic parenting was a full-time job. I can recall being so excited to drive the children to school and get a quiet place to work. Because during the pandemic, the only quietest place I found to work in the house was the downstairs restroom. And here's a clip of that.
Look at my mom.
Right, so that's fine. Now, while I was excited to go back to the way things were, I realized that through the transition, though I was not performing multiple jobs within the confines of my own home, I was still wearing so many hats and taking on so many expectations, some of which were directed towards women. For instance, the expectation to lose all this weight after birthing 3 babies between the years of 2011 and 14, or the expectation of performing above and beyond at work simply because I was a woman, or the expectation of washing every dish in the kitchen sink before going to bed, even after a long workday. These expectations were harmful, and they were quite disheartening. You see, women wear so many hats and take on so many expectations. We are everything to everyone and expected to do the most. Most of the times, taking on the demands of these expectations have negative implications on our mental health and well-being. This is why it is critical for us to redefine our own womanhood by challenging societal pressures and expectations that have been placed on us since we were young girls. We live in a culture that historically women have had to take on expectations of getting married, having children, taking care of the household. Historically, this was a huge emphasis in the 1950s. Get married, have children, take care of the home, and become a homemaker. Similarly, in the African culture, being born in Kenya, Africa, and having many friends from different African cultures, We mirror these same ideologies of women expectations. Again, getting married, taking care of the children and the home. So much so that in most African cultures, men are not allowed to step foot in the kitchen. I can recall 2 years after my family and I migrated to the US from Kenya, the shock on my siblings and I's face when we realized that our father was stepping foot in the kitchen for the first time to cook us dinner because our mother had an evening nursing class. What he cooked up in that kitchen that night is for another TED Talk. So from our place in society and in the home, historically, we continue to face societal pressures and expectations as women going into the topic of our bodies. We see that today often in many ways. For instance, within the celebrity culture, what we come to find is body shaming. The body shaming of Serena Williams and Simone Biles for being too masculine, or the pre and post baby comparisons, post-baby body comparisons of celebrities such as Kelly Clarkson and many others, or the attack on curvaceous women, like the attack on Beyonce's curves. By the way, she would later come out with her hit song, Bootylicious, as a song to embrace the curves of a woman, but also as a direct response to the criticism she was receiving with her own body. We live in a society and a culture placing enormous value on the thinness and physical beauty. Society, social mainstream, and social media perpetuate this by limiting the images we are exposed to over time to the ideal body frame of women. As a result, 90% of women are unhappy with their bodies. Women ages 18 to 25 are likely to have negative emotions about their body appearance. And 65% of girls under the age 18 have a depiction of the ideal body fed to them by social media outlets such as Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. At home, women do 10 times more housework than their male counterparts, even without children. At work, women are expected to do more than their male counterparts, partially due to gender roles and expectations. A recent study in the healthcare field demonstrated that women experience more drastic stress and burnout than their male counterparts. And historically in the workplace, women and minorities face what's called the glass ceiling effect, an effect that prevents women and minorities from reaching higher levels of success simply due to their gender and their race and ethnicity. Other research has indicated how impostor syndrome influences women. This year, 2024, researchers from Cal State Fresno conducted a meta-analysis of 108 studies that represented women in imposter syndrome. And what they came to find was that women experience imposter syndrome more frequently and intensely. In another study conducted by KPBM, a social, national, international services professional network, indicated that 75% of women execs across industries have experienced imposter syndrome at one point in their career. In case you're wondering what imposter syndrome is, it's a persistent doubt of your own skills and success. As women, we need to take the lead and control of our own narratives. Narratives that foster self-acceptance, confidence, advocacy, and actualizing the power we have within us. So, in order to do this, I employ to you a call of action, a call to reflect, to be your authentic self, to place boundaries, to empower one another, and to take on leadership. Let's talk about reflection. Reflection is taking the intentional time to reflect on your identity as a woman. It is important to do this, especially within the society we are in. As women, we need to take the time to embrace who we are in our own identities and look at the positive aspects of being a woman. Authenticity. I love this quote by Oscar Wilde, which states, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Authenticity is walking in your true and authentic self without any hesitations. It is also embracing your individualities, your unique qualities, your personalities, your talent. And while you are reflecting on authenticity, think about the societal pressures, norms, expectations, experiences that you have had as a woman, and ask yourself, if those experiences and expectations align with your identity, and if they don't align with your identity, make a change to be authentic in your true self. Empowerment. Boundaries. If you do not set boundaries for yourself, you set an unknown expectation, an unspoken expectation that others do not have to have boundaries with you. Let me repeat that. If you do not set boundaries for yourself, you set an unspoken expectation that others cannot have boundaries with you. Learn to say no and prioritize yourself. I love this word no. It's one of my favorite words. And as a matter of fact, on the count of 3, I want us all to say no. 1, 2, 3. No. Ooh, beautiful. Gorgeous. And when you get bored of saying no, there are other phrases you can incorporate in your speech, such as, I don't have capacity for this. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pass this time. Or simply, no. No, thank you. Learn to incorporate no and set healthy boundaries for yourselves as women. The next one is empowerment. Let's empower one another and uplift one another. Let's embrace intersectional feminism. Realize and understand that as women, we have many intersectionalities, from our race to our class, to our sexual orientation, to our ability. We all share different experiences. Let's empower one another in our experiences, in who we are. Let's empower one another by standing up against gender discrimination and amplify gender equality. And those with privilege in certain places, don't forget about the women who are marginalized and oftentimes underrepresented, and most of the times silenced. Lastly, take the lead on redefining womanhood. Womanhood is not a one-size-fits-all scope. It's what you make it as a woman, outside of the societal pressures and expectations that have been set on you. Feel empowered to walk in your true and authentic self and inspire other women and younger generations to walk fearlessly and boldly in their identity as a woman. Redefining womanhood is a personal journey that involves reclaiming narratives, challenging societal norms, embracing diverse expressions of femininity. So I urge you today, ladies, own your power, prioritize yourself, create your own narrative, and reshape the societal standards of womanhood. Thank you.